ladies, gentlemen, and jabronis, welcome to the most electrifying NFL recap show on the internet. The most honest review of Week 6. This is The Bottom Line. I'm Mitch, and I'm going to tell you the truth about what happened in Week 6 and what's going down in the NFL right now. If that sounds good, Gronk, spike the like button, show your love, it's free. If you enjoy these rant reviews and these weekly reactions, then like the video. And don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm looking at you. I know you haven't. Subscribe. Get in the comments and let me know your Week 6 takeaway. The Chiefs, are they back? The Falcons, are they for real? Should we take the Seahawks seriously as contenders? Let me know in the comments, man. And let's get it started. I want to begin with the Atlanta Falcons. Rise up. We have some great Falcons fans in the community. Shout out to Ultra, the man, the myth, the legend of BLV versus Consensus, joins me every week on Patreon. Shout out to my girl Claire, always in the live chat. We even have Wave God somewhere lurking in the Discord. We love our Falcons fans here on the BLV. And if you're a Falcons fan and I didn't say your name, let me know in the comments. I want to know how many of you are watching. But I neglected Atlanta last night because I wanted to focus my attention on Mr. Bean and Mr. McDermott and the Buffalo Bills. I thought that was the biggest story coming out of Monday Night Football. And I thought that would be the best video to make. Whatever hits my heart first. But that's what this show is for. To sit back, think about some of the things I neglected, some of the things that I need to discuss, some of the things I've yet to discuss, and to discuss them now. So that's what we're going to do. So, rise up. The Atlanta Falcons, are they for real? Well, so far this season, the Atlanta Falcons are first in defensive yards allowed. They are first in first downs allowed. They are first in passing yards allowed. They are second in net yards per attempt allowed through the air. And they are also offensively second in offensive yardage and first in rushing yards, despite not having a mobile quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons are not contenders, in my opinion. But maybe we should be looking at this team as a playoff team. Maybe. Let's talk about it. So, I was genuinely shocked that the Atlanta Falcons defense did what they did to the Buffalo Bills. Because they've been good this year, but they had not played an opponent like the Bills. Roll out of bed, score 30 points. Now, maybe the Bills have their own internal issues, and they're going through their struggle and their slump, and that's what it appears to be for me. I'm not going to say the sky is falling for the Buffalo Bills. They're still going to be in the playoffs, and they'll probably be in contention to win the whole AFC. But the Falcons caught them at a great time, and that's part of this, for sure. But they took what the Patriots did on Sunday night, and they elevated that to the next level defensively. The Falcons pressured the Bills and Josh Allen in a way that I haven't seen in years, maybe ever. Relentlessly blitzing Josh Allen and getting away with it. Now, a big difference between the Patriots game and this Falcons game for Buffalo is Dalton Kincaid did not suit up and did not play, and he was the most effective, efficient receiver against the Patriots, and their only real guy that was separating and getting open. And Josh Palmer also got injured, I want to say in the first half. He made a deep conversion in the game and got tackled, apparently in the NFL illegally, but they never called a flag anyways. So, don't know the point of that rule. But, besides that point, the Falcons said, your receivers stink, basically what the Patriots said. We're going to play more man coverage than we typically play. We're going to at least play press coverage. We're at least going to be aggressive, and we're going to send blitzes. And what are the Falcons uniquely equipped with? Really good blitzing linebackers. Hybrid playmakers at the second level. Or even edge rushers that have linebacker-like traits. Jalen Walker, James Pierce, the two rookies. Caden Ellis might be the best blitzing linebacker in the NFL. Diablo has been a revelation for them. And they tested the Bills. And Josh Allen, people are going to blame him, of course. He's the quarterback. He's the MVP. He had no answers because the Bills had no skill. The Bills had no answers. So I really like how the Falcons performed on defense. I like that they were aggressive, and I like that they kind of turned a page or were a little bit more creative in terms of the approach from this defensive philosophy. And I feel like the meshing right now, as much as I kind of absolutely dunk on Raheem Morris consistently, I don't think he's a great head coach. The mix of him and this new defensive coordinator from the Jets, Ulbrich, I believe is his name. That combination, Raheem Morris adding a sprinkle of creativity and flavor to this scheme, has made them one of the most exciting, intriguing, and impressive defenses of the season. Their run defense is still flawed, and I'm a little unsure why the Bills didn't test that a little bit more early on, but the Falcons seem to be able to do a good enough job early in the game against the run to get away with not allowing the Bills to run the ball until, later in the game, if that makes sense. But AJ Terrell had a great game. I thought Diablo had a great game. Onyemata still in the middle making plays. This Falcons defense could be the reason they could make the playoffs because I don't think their quarterback offers enough consistency or stability for me to say that they're a legitimate playoff team because I am not a Michael Penix believer. I'm not a hater, but I would not say Michael Penix is a guaranteed playoff quarterback for sure. I'm not sure he's a top 20 quarterback in the league. He had a pretty good game against the Bills, right? You look at it, and seemingly every time they needed him to convert, he was able to for the most part. Drake London dominated and Bijan Robinson dominated. And I think that's the most impressive part about this Falcons performance is they didn't have Darnell Mooney, they didn't have Ray McCloud, and the two guys that needed to get the football got the football and dominated the game with over 300 total yards. Drake London, Bijan Robinson. And it was close to a yard from being a blowout. Drake London doesn't step out of bounds. He scores there. It might have been a blowout. So this Falcons team statistically right now has been pretty awesome. Now, points offensively have not been the best. 27th in points, which is where I kind of feel like the Falcons move the ball, but they struggle in the red zone. And that kind of comes down to the quarterback. So my take on the Falcons is the Falcons will go as far as Michael Penix can develop and take them. Their run game is awesome. Bijan's the best back in the league. Undisputable fact this season. The defense might not be the best, even if statistically they're performing the best. But they're in that conversation right now. They're playing as well as any defense in football. They really are. And they just did it against legitimate competition, even with injuries for the Bills. So really, when you're looking at this NFL right now, we've got flaws on every team. Every team is flawed. Every team has something that's not working. Every team has a unit that's underperforming. For the Falcons, it feels like it's the quarterback. Like, if Penix could be a consistent force at quarterback, they could be a legitimate NFC contender. I'm not a huge fan of their coaching staff, but I felt like in this game with the bye week that I disrespected from their vantage point, they took advantage of the time to prepare, and they exposed Buffalo big time. So they deserve credit. And I would say, are the Falcons for real? I'm still a little unsure. I'm not convinced, right? But we'll see. They play the Niners in San Francisco. If the Falcons are for real, they go to San Francisco and they win that game against a beat-up, depleted Niners team with a bad defense. If they're for real. If the Falcons are still the Falcons, they lose that game. We'll find out on Sunday night. They should beat the Dolphins. They play a couple tough AFC teams, the Patriots in New England, which will not be easy, and the Colts. This next month, we're going to find out if the Falcons are for real. So I think the Bills game opened our eyes to the possibility. It opened our eyes to the possibility of the Falcons making the playoffs. But I think this next month will give us an idea of whether or not they can actually achieve it. And they still have some really tough games down the stretch too. Seahawks, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams. All not easy games. They do take on the Saints twice, the Panthers. So they feel like still kind of a borderline playoff team. And it's going to come down to Michael Penix, I believe. So that's my take on the Falcons. I know you guys were interested in that. For the Buffalo Bills, they need to make a trade or two. I talked about the Bills in my rant, and I'm not going to spend too long on this. But the Buffalo Bills, you look at the landscape of the NFL. You look at the landscape of the AFC. This is the weakest AFC I can remember in my lifetime. The AFC has been the better conference for a majority of my life. There's been seasons where the NFC has been better, but for a majority of my life, the AFC has dominated. They've always had the better quarterbacks, sometimes the more dominant defenses, the better coaches. The Bills have an opportunity, and they're one or two players away from getting there. But they have been exposed back-to-back weeks. We've seen teams have rough early starts to seasons, and they're 4-2. It's not that bad. The sky is not falling. But two back-to-back weeks where they lost to a team that they should have beat or they're favored to beat, that's not good. Especially this Falcons game was pretty embarrassing. At least with the Patriots game, you could say, hey, that's a divisional foe. We turned the ball over. We took penalties. This game, you can't say any of that stuff. You just got flat out dominated and bullied. You could blame injuries, but I don't think that's enough to say why you lost. I think if you're the Bills, you need to be super aggressive at the deadline. You need to make something happen. Whether it be like a receiver, Chris Olave type, whether it be a defensive lineman like Jeff Simmons or Trey Hendrickson, you need to swing for the fences. A safety. Honestly, the Bills should make a couple trades, not just one. They should be looking at, can we get like a big-time defensive game changer? Jeff Simmons, Trey Hendrickson. Can we get a corner here that could help us maybe, or a safety that could help us? Maxwell Hairston will return. I think their linebacker position is fine. I think their D-line is overall fine. It's just that if they could get a game changer, it would take their defense to a different level. That's what the Bills need to do. And maybe this is a blessing in disguise for Buffalo. The fact that they have struggled and it's exposed their weaknesses to the world in the NFL, and hopefully to Bean and McDermott, to where, hey, we got to capitalize on Josh Allen right now. And he's not playing the best that he's ever played, but we need to help this guy out with maybe a receiver. We need to help this guy out with a defense that can make a stop. And there's probably more guys on defense that you can acquire. But the Bills should be, I think, super aggressive. Because this is the year. For any team that's sitting there as like, we need to win right now, this is the year. Lamar and the Ravens are toast. Joe Burrow is out. The Patriots are still young and they've got still room where they can grow. And that's the scary part if you're Buffalo, because like they're only going to get better in next year, the year after. So you better take advantage like right now. Kansas City, while they're getting better now, they're still flawed. This is the worst Chiefs defense we've really seen in 3 years. The NFC doesn't have a dominant team. Like, if you're Josh Allen and the Bills and McDermott and Bean, you got to be going, send your first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. Like, it doesn't even matter. Go for it. You have to. Then on top of that, let's bring in a safety. Let's get a veteran safety in here that can make some plays. Like, I don't know, like Grant Delpit or like somebody on a bad team. I'm just throwing out a name. I don't know, but just throwing out a name. So, just saying, the Bills need to do that. Now, the other Monday Night Football game was the Bears and the Commies. If you're offended by that, I do not care. 25-24. Chicago takes it over the Commanders. Now, this is an interesting game because I have to put out my power rankings, and this is probably the worst week to ever do a power ranking in the history of my channel. Like, I have no idea who to rank where, but this is an example of a game where even if one team won, I still don't know if I can put them ahead of the other team in my power rankings. I know that's kind of crazy, and I'm still indecisive about it. But the Commanders lost this game because of the turnovers. They lost this game because they turned it over 3 times, they fumbled twice, and they threw a pick in the red zone. And that's why they lost. And they lost by a point. Typically, teams that lose a turnover battle 3-0 don't lose by only 1 point. Right? Now, I look at the Commanders and I say, they're an example of a team that I think the Falcons are better than both these teams because I think they're more well-rounded. I think both these teams are kind of mirror images of each other. I think the Commanders overall are more consistent because their quarterback is more consistent. But that's really the end of the story. Both have great schemes. Both have great OCs. Both have competent offensive lines. Both have enough weapons to get it done. Commanders were missing their biggest in Terry McLaurin, which could have been the difference in the game. So you have to factor in Terry McLaurin as well to a power ranking, in my opinion. And defensively, they're both extremely flawed with good coaching. The Bears finally found a way to run the ball. 14 carries for DeAndre Swift, 108 yards. That was kind of the story of the game for them. Caleb still was inconsistent and honestly like below average. Took 3 sacks, 17 for 29, had some inaccuracies, had some moments where he's completely oblivious and lost. Also was able to create some explosives through the air off play action. Burden, Roma Dunze, who continues to shine, in my opinion, even with a lackluster stat line in this game. Like I said, though, pretty much mirror images of each other. Both teams that I could see, maybe they squeak in the 7 seed. But that's kind of what I feel from these two teams this year. Both have very flawed defenses. They need to win with their offense. They need to win with ball control. They need to win with points. They need to win with balance. Their defenses, to me, are not good enough and make them unreliable. I would throw the Cowboys into the same sort of conversation in the NFC. All these teams feel very similar to me. Jaden Daniels and the Commander passing attack had very little explosiveness and downfield element outside of a schemed up, wide open, fake screenplay to Luke McCaffrey. Cliff has got to be a head coach next year, by the way. Just going to throw that out there. He would be probably the first guy I would call. Like, at least in the top 3 in terms of offensive minds right now. But yeah, I just don't see, like, the Commanders' run defense struggled. Their pass rush isn't particularly good. Their secondary is flawed. The Bears' defense, I thought, played a bit better in this game. They got more pressure in big moments. They made some big plays. They got a big interception from Brisker. It felt like with Edwards in there, they were much better. With Brisker in there, they were much better. Their secondary played a little bit tighter. Nashawn Wright stepping up, or Nashton, whatever his first name is, Wright stepping up in there. But the Commanders, I mean, they're slow at linebacker, old at linebacker. They can't flow sideline to sideline. They want to play man, but their corners aren't reliable enough. It's a tough scene for the Commanders. I don't know how this team is a contender with their current state of their defense. I do still feel like their offense is top 10 when they're humming because their scheme is so effective. Their run game, Jaden running, right? Their screen game is so efficient. So they'll be in a lot of games. I can't see them going past one playoff win just because their defense is so flawed. And Chicago, I just think it's interesting. You know, they've got a lot of weapons. If their run game can keep this up, maybe that's the ingredient they need to hit their upside. Because, like, that's what won them this game. And that was kind of maybe the element that was overlooked in the scouting process of this game. 7.7 yards per carry for DeAndre Swift. Story of the game. Jaden Daniels, though, kind of an underrated storyline right now. And I know that people look at me as a Jaden Daniels hater. I'm not necessarily. I just think he's been a little overrated. But again, like another kind of like mid performance from him. 211 yards. The interception, the fumble that I thought was his fault. Like a couple turnovers that are uncharacteristic from him. And again, it's a lot of dink and dunk and scrambling. 10 runs in this game. So, not too impressed with Jaden this year. He is sort of on the sophomore slump trajectory. Last year, I thought his play on 3rd down and 4th down, even if a lot of his production was schemed up, was just so excellent that it elevated him into top 10 quarterback status. But this year, I don't think you can argue that he's a top 10 quarterback. Because Marcus Mariota literally has played in this same position and has been basically the same exact player. If not performed better than him. So, that's my thoughts on Bears Commanders. There is an individual playing the position of quarterback that I have outright stated I do not like this guy. I have been a hater of Tua turned the ball over since day one. Day one. Throw up your ones like Roman Reigns. We've been here since day one. Brian Flores was right. Everything Brian Flores tried to tell the Miami Dolphins and their fan base about Tua, he was 100% correct. I don't know if you guys have seen, but after the loss to the Chargers, after throwing not one, not two, but 3 interceptions, and for the entirety of the season playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in football who belongs in Canada, and I don't want him. As soon as he comes to play for the Toronto Argonauts, I'm going to shove his ass back to the United States. I don't want him here in the CFL. But that's where his game belongs because the man can't throw the ball past 10 yards. It's embarrassing. And I feel bad forever making fun of Mike McDaniel. Yes, Mike McDaniel is a nerd. Yes, Mike McDaniel wears very strange pants that only 12-year-old boys should wear. But at the same time, Mike McDaniel is a great offensive mind and a very good play caller. And he has gotten everything, every drop of juice out of Tua. Tua went from being a laughingstock, an embarrassment of the league, a bottom 5 quarterback, basically unstartable, to being a guy that got paid a massive amount of money because of Mike McDaniel. Because of Mike McDaniel, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. And the fastest offense and supporting cast in the NFL. Probably the best supporting cast on offense in the NFL for a couple of years. And we have this guy, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not going to give him the respect of saying his actual name. Because when you go up to the press conference and you wear the C on your chest and all you do is proceed to throw every individual on your team under the bus, you do not deserve respect. You're asking where the leaders are, Tua. Where are the leaders? You're wearing the C, Tua. Do you know what that means? It means you're a captain, you jabroni. It means you're the leader, jackass. And he goes on a tangent, a rant, to tell the Miami press that his players aren't showing up to meetings. Tua, you're the leader. Tua, you're responsible, pal. And you fucking suck. So, you're not allowed to talk this way. You don't belong as a starting quarterback in the league. You can't even throw the fucking ball. Every completion you have is a swing pass, a screen, or some sort of magical play call from Mike McDaniel. You owe your life to your coach, and you're throwing him under the bus. You owe your career to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jabroni. I want to get you the exact quotes because, guys, this is absolutely bizarre. This is absolutely bizarre. I think it starts with our leadership and helping articulate that for the guys. And then what we're expecting out of the guys, right? We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late. Bro, Why would you say that in front of the press? What positivity is that bringing to your team? What good is that bringing to your team other than dysfunction? You're an idiot. Then he goes on. Guys, not showing up to player-only meetings, there's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? So it's a lot of things of the nature that we got to get cleaned up. And it starts with the little things like that. It doesn't start with little things like that. It starts with you. You're the leader. Grow up. Idiot. He's directed his comments at a couple individuals. Communicate that without using the public, without using the media. All you're doing is hurting your team, Captain. Fucking jabroni. All right. Let's get to another jabroni. Brian Callahan has been fired from the Tennessee Titans. I'm sure you've heard of it. Now, I want to just give a round of applause to Brian Callahan for having one of the most impressive careers that I have ever seen from a head coach. Brian Callahan finishes his Titans regime and reign 4-19, landing the first overall pick after his first season as coach. As an offensive mastermind coming from Cincinnati, he has led the 30th and 31st offenses in the NFL in points for. Just so you guys are aware, there are 32 NFL teams. But perhaps the most impressive statistic I could find on Mr. Callahan was the fact that he went 4-19 against the spread, which is less than 15% win percentage. Or around there somewhere. Just so you guys know how impressive that is actually the worst in the NFL among current coaches by 25%. The next worst coach against the spread has a 42% win percentage. That's Kevin Stefanski. Not including first-year head coaches. And some of those, like Kellen Moore, are 40%. You are 18% as of last week. Just to do my math, because I didn't take math, bro. I can't do math, bro. Don't ask me to do math, okay? I make videos for a living. I do not do math, all right? So let me do the math right now for you guys. Yeah. Super impressive, bro. Super impressive. God, you suck. But the thing is, Brian Callahan was so bad, he didn't even know the rules. Do we not remember that? What did Brian Callahan do well? Did he do one thing well? And you think about how bad this reign was. That the Tennessee Titans had the audacity to fire him the week of Mike Vrabel returning. Wow. That is embarrassing. They fired Mike Vrabel after taking the Titans to a number 1 seed with the most injured team in NFL history and getting to the AFC Championship in the span of 3 seasons. getting to the playoffs in 3 straight seasons. They fired Mike Vrabel as the second best underdog in spread percentage, only behind Mike Tomlin. We just talked about his spread percentage overall, Mr. Callahan. Mike Vrabel, second best coach as an underdog with the Tennessee Titans. They fired Mike Vrabel. And then, guys, they had an offseason where they traded their second-round pick for the best corner in football, L'Jarius Sneed. The previous year, L'Jarius Sneed. They signed Ernest Jones, who is now a top 20 linebacker in the league with the Seattle Seahawks because he didn't work out in Tennessee. They signed numerous players on defense. Quandre Diggs, right? Chidobe Awuzie. Signed Calvin Ridley, right? Did all this stuff. They got the first pick after they made the roster better. They got the first pick. They lost like 4 more games from the year that they had with Mike Vrabel to Brian Callahan. Think about that for a second. Their roster got better. And they lost 4 more games. And then he got the first pick, a legitimately talented quarterback, and he has yet to win. Well, he won 1 game. He won 1 game. And it was a miracle against the Cardinals. That is one of the worst coaching displays I've ever seen. And because it's in Tennessee, it probably won't get the attention it deserves. But Brian Callahan was a fucking disaster. Wow. Now, you know who is also a disaster? The Dallas Cowboys defense, bro. The Dallas Cowboys defense is one of the worst defenses we have ever seen. And it's pretty crazy. Like, I think everyone says, Micah Parsons and stuff like that. But this is absolutely outrageous. Like, Dak Prescott is leading the NFL in EPA per play among all quarterbacks. And they lost to the Carolina Panthers. The Dallas Cowboys are what? 2-3-1? Something like that. And they have the quarterback who leads the NFL in EPA. Without CeeDee Lamb for the last couple of games. That's a top 3, top 4 receiver in the NFL. Dak Prescott's leading the NFL in EPA. And the team is so dysfunctional. The defense is so bad that they're below 500. Jerry Jones said, we're going to stop the run. Your running back from last season, Rico Dowdle, went to Carolina and just rushed for 200 yards on your face. The Carolina Panthers did that to you. Wow. Dak Prescott's getting Tony Romo'd. There was a time where Tony Romo was seen as a choker. Tony Romo was seen as overrated because his defense was awful and his offensive line was awful. And yet they would still win 8 or 9 games and almost win the division. That's what's happening to Dak Prescott right now. He's performing like a top 5 quarterback. He's number 1 in EPA. And they're still losing, even though he doesn't even have CeeDee Lamb. And he's still doing that. And they're losing because they can't get a stop. Because they traded Micah Parsons and they didn't sign DeMarcus Lawrence, who's going off in Seattle. And they continue to refuse to fix their linebacking core. They have the slowest cornerback group in the league. Their safeties are shit. The Cowboys, man. The Dallas Cowboys. Now, let's get back on our jabroni rants. We've got to get to Aaron Glenn. And this probably deserves its own damn video. So I might have to make a separate video. If you guys want me to make a separate video on this, I think it's deserved to make a damn video about this. This is embarrassing. Like, I told you guys that Aaron Glenn is an idiot. I told you that Aaron Glenn does not deserve to be a head coach, but none of you guys listened. None of you. First of all, Aaron Glenn, you could tell he was an absolute jabroni by the way that he treated one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Aaron Rodgers, during the offseason. If you guys don't know that story, look it up. But essentially, they made Aaron Rodgers travel to New York just to basically tell him that he sucks and that he's never going to be a part of this team and that they hate him and all this stuff. And then we have Aaron Glenn, who's yet to win an NFL game as a head coach, and he's just consistently an asshole at every single press conference, telling people that they shouldn't have a quarterback controversy. They're not going to change their quarterback. Even if Justin Fields is playing like the worst quarterback in the league, he thinks that those questions are laughable because Aaron Glenn is an idiot. And then you have moments like this where the New York Jets don't even know what they're doing. They don't even look at this idiot. But pause it on his face. Pause it on, look at him. What is he thinking right now? Is he thinking anything? Look at this. That segment that probably many of you didn't see, that 2-minute drill before the half was the most incompetent 2-minute drill I have ever seen from an NFL team. And good on Garrett Wilson for yelling at him because Aaron Glenn is a fucking jabroni. Look at him. Garrett Wilson, good on you, man. Garrett Wilson deserves respect for that. I hope Garrett Wilson someday gets traded. Look at this guy. Look at this idiot. That was the worst clock management I've ever seen. The worst. This team should have been blown out of the country. They gained like 90 yards, sacked 9 times, and yet they can't change their quarterback because Aaron Glenn says so. This guy's an idiot. I might have to break down the entire 2-minute drill. And then they run a fake punt. That was the worst fake punt I've ever seen in my life. The worst fake punt I've ever seen. Why? They had their entire offensive line out there. They put Breece Hall as the up back. And they snapped the ball to Breece Hall. It was the most obvious fake punt in the history of the NFL. Somehow they got the first down. But Breece Hall had never played that position ever before. It was the most obvious fake punt you've ever seen. It was a disaster. The entire Broncos coaching staff knew it was happening. They were all signaling that it was going to happen. This guy's an idiot. Now, I need to make a proclamation and a prediction about a certain NFL team. And it pains me to say this about my guy, Big Al, and his football team. But as of 5:19 Pacific time on October the 14th, it is a Tuesday, October the 14th, 2025. I am officially eliminating the Philadelphia Eagles from the 2026 NFL playoffs. You heard that right. The Philadelphia Eagles, who currently lead the NFC East, will not make the playoffs. And I, Mitch, on the Bottom Line View, am officially eliminating the Eagles from all Super Bowl contention. I will put that key in the lock, twist it up real nice, and throw it away. The Eagles are eliminated. You heard it here first. Done. Finished. As one great man on the Bottom Line View once said, D-U-N-E. Done. The Eagles are done. Now, let's dive into the Eagles and tell you why they're done. This is the Eagles. 4-2. They are coming off a game in which they got absolutely embarrassed on Thursday Night Football, 34-17 against Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo and the Great White Giants. They're coming off 2 consecutive losses. 21-17 to the Broncos. And as you guys can see, I want you guys to pay attention to 2 categories. We have total yards for the defense and total yards for the offense. The Eagles were outgained against the Cowboys. Outgained against the Chiefs. As you can see. Outgained against the Rams. Outgained against the Bucs. Outgained against the Broncos. And outgained against the Giants. The Eagles have been outgained in all 6 of their games. This team may be 4-2. They are the worst 4-2 team I've ever seen statistically in my life. They are 22nd in offensive points per drive and 22nd in defensive points per drive. They are 30th in yards per drive on offense. They are not good at anything. They are 28th in yards per attempt running the ball. They are 24th in stopping the run in yards per attempt. They are bottom 6 in rushing on offense and defense. They are 29th in passing the football. The only area that they are above average is pass defense. And they have no pass rush. One of their pass rushers just retired. They are 30th in offensive yards and 21st in defensive yards. They are average to below average in points for and against. They are not a good team. When you look at their schedule, they play the Vikings in Minnesota off of a bye. Good luck. They play the Giants, who they just lost to. After the bye week, they go to Green Bay. Good luck. Then they play Detroit. Good luck. Then they go at Dallas, maybe the best offense in the league. Then they play Chicago, who looks better than them right now. Then they go to the Chargers and Justin Herbert, clear quarterback deficiency. Then they go to the Raiders. They should beat the Raiders. Then they go at the Commanders, at the Bills, good luck, in the snow, and Washington. They are 27th on third down on offense and 26th on defense. They are good at nothing. Their head coach is a jabroni. Their quarterback can't throw the vertical pass. He holds onto the ball longer than, honestly, anybody I've ever seen. The offensive line is wearing out. Saquon Barkley is cursed by Madden. A.J. Brown wants to be a Patriot. Devontae Smith wants to play with Mac Jones. The defense can't rush the quarterback. Jalen Carter can't stay on the field. Their cornerback position is putrid after the top 2. Their safeties are mid. Their linebackers are regressing. This team stinks. I officially eliminate the Philadelphia Eagles from the 2025-2026 NFL season. Thank you guys very much for listening. Okay. If you haven't already, make sure to Gronk spike the like button. We still have a few topics to go. Next up, we need to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Are the Seahawks for real? That is the question. Well, there are some things that are looking good for Seattle. I don't want to talk about the Eagles anymore. Sam Darnold. The league average completion percentage on throws of 20-plus yards is 40.3%. Two quarterbacks are completing 70% of their deep balls. The man, the myth, the legend, the Messiah, Drake Maye, and Sammy Seattle Darnold. Darnold is playing like a G. He's breaking quarterback charts. His PFF grade and efficiency is the best in the NFL. And their defense can get to the quarterback. Leonard Williams had 8 pressures and half a sack against Jacksonville. Byron Murphy had 7 pressures and 2 sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence, former Cowboy, 7 pressures and 2 sacks. Uchenna Nwosu, finally healthy, 5 pressures, 1.5 sacks. And Boye Mafe, 5 pressures. Their defense versus Jacksonville had 7 sacks and 33 pressures. They have one of the best pass rushes in football, and they have one of the best quarterbacks playing in the NFL. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, on the flip side, do I believe in Seattle? Mitch, the stats say you should. Not really. Kind of. I think Seattle's a playoff team. I don't think they're a contender. Why? First of all, I think the Sam Darnold stuff is a little overblown and overrated because he is right now an efficiency quarterback. They're a run-first offense that's heavily downfield play action based. It gives me Derek Carr last year vibes. Sam Darnold is primarily making plays off play action by throwing it to literally only one receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I just feel like their offense is extremely funneled to only like one player. And once they get into situations where they have to actually drop back and throw the ball, I don't feel as confident about Seattle, the offensive line, or Sam Darnold once they get exposed to that development. This is what I expected from the Seahawks. Strong defense, a good run game, and play action. They're exactly the team I thought they would be. I picked them to be the 7 seed. It just so happens that the NFL is a lot weaker than I expected. But I still don't see Seattle as a contender because I feel like in big moments, you need to have more than one receiver come through. Cooper Kupp has been kind of unreliable and inconsistent and only really making plays when he's schemed up to make them. He did score a touchdown against Jacksonville. Barner's been impressive, but again, mostly due to the scheme and not really the individual. He is good after the catch. Kenneth Walker is a dog, but for some reason they insist on using Zach Charbonnet way too much. The defense is good, but I don't think it's dominant. And yes, they had some injuries against Jacksonville. But guys, the end of the story is this. They're 4-8 at home under Mike Macdonald in Seattle. 4-8. They're great on the road. They won again on the road against Jacksonville. But who have they beaten? Like, the last 2 years combined. Sure, they beat the Steelers, who I am a lot lower on than a lot of other people. And the Steelers, honestly, are probably better now than they were a couple weeks ago. The Cardinals, who are not very good. They lost to the Tennessee Titans. And they beat Jacksonville. Congratulations. You beat the fucking Jags. What, do you want a cookie? A gold star? You beat a quarterback without a brain. Trevor Lawrence is unwatchable, inaccurate, and just a flat-out dumbass. Of course you beat him. I don't think Jacksonville is great. I think they're talented, but I don't think they're a great team. I think you guys are both very similar. Wild card teams. not true contenders. So yeah, Seattle looks good. The analytics love them. But I need to see them beat a legitimate team. Houston, if you're a good team, you should beat that team because they're flawed on offense. They might have the best defense in the league, Houston, but their offense has been putrid. And you're at home. And it's in prime time. You need to win that game. But the best team Seattle has played, San Francisco, closer to full health, and the Bucs, injured Bucs, they lost to both those teams at home. How can I take this team serious because they beat the Steelers and the Jags? Seriously? I can't. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs, just as I would have thought. They might even win their division because the Niners are falling apart. But I don't think they're going to get to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get to the NFC Championship. I think their ceiling is probably the divisional round, to be honest with you guys. Okay. Before we finish off with two big topics, let's all gather around and say a prayer for the San Francisco 49ers. Because if there is a team that needs a prayer, it's the 49ers. God, I don't know what the 49ers did to deserve this. And I don't know if there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You take Nick Bosa away. And now you take Fred Warner away. We have yet to see the 49ers at full health on offense. And not a single one of their fans, other than Strawberry, can really tell who their best quarterback is. Why, God, are you playing with Kyle Shanahan like this? This man is coaching his ass off. He should be the coach of the year unanimously. But you're giving him no hope. You're literally turning his hair gray. Why do you do this to my man? Why do you do this to the 49ers? I don't understand. Please, God, one day, allow the Niners to be healthy. One season, allow the Niners to make it through without a scratch. That's all I ask. One time. Thank you. Fred Warner, we love you. Okay. Now, let's talk about it. You guys have been waiting. Are the Chiefs back? It pains me to say this, but the Kansas City Chiefs might be back. The Chiefs that we know and hate might be back. The Chiefs that have been terrorizing the NFL since the fall of the empire might be back. Their cocky frog quarterback, their pop star tight end, and their burger-eating coach with a bunch of fast fuckers at wide receiver. They might be back. Chris Jones decided to not be washed against the Lions. But the biggest takeaway And the biggest reason that the Chiefs are officially back is that Kansas City acquired their best player on Sunday. The best player that has won them not one, not two, but 3 Super Bowls has returned to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are back because the refs are back. Kansas City was the first team since 1972 with 0 turnovers, 0 penalties, and no more than 1 punt in a game. The cleanest game since 1972. The Chiefs are back. Kelsey, ball hits the ground. Of course, it's ruled complete. Kelsey holds a Lions player directly trying to make a tackle. No call. Mahomes runs right past a Lions player being strip searched. And somehow, some way, the Chiefs had 0 penalties on Sunday Night Football. Earlier in that day, I watched the New England Patriots play against the New Orleans Saints in what was the worst, most poorly officiated game I've seen all season and maybe in seasons. In every game routinely this season, I have seen 20 penalties. And somehow the Chiefs were not penalized one time in front of the world because the Chiefs were 2-3 and the NFL would simply not allow them to be 2-4. It is not good for business. It is bad for business. So yes, the Chiefs are back. And unfortunately for all of us, their best player has returned. And unfortunately for all of us, they might have an offense again. Unfortunately. Their offense is looking pretty potent, and it's getting back Rashee Rice. They are second in the NFL in converting a series into new downs, as you can see. The Kansas City Chiefs that we know and hate, their refs have returned. Their offense is actually good again. Yup. The Chiefs are back. But luckily for us, there is one man that can save us all. There is one quarterback so good that he is breaking every record every week. There is one guy and one franchise that can save us from the Chiefs. There has only ever been one that could beat the Chiefs. Only one team with the mythical powers to overcome the refs, to overcome Andy Reid's wide open wide receiver voodoo. There is only one. And that one team is the greatest team to ever exist in the history of football. That franchise has been gone faded into oblivion for the last 4 years. But that franchise has finally returned. And they have a new chosen one. The Chiefs might be back, but so are the New England Patriots. The Ravens have never been able to beat the Chiefs. The Bills have never been able to beat the Chiefs. The Steelers have never been able to beat the Chiefs. The Colts, the Bengals, except for that one time. The Niners. But there is one that can beat the Chiefs. One. And that is the New England Patriots. Drake Maye. MVP Drake Maye. Mike Vrabel. Josh McDaniels. And the New England Patriots are coming for you, Chiefs. They're coming for you. They're back. They're back. And they own you. The Chiefs are owned by Tom Brady, by the New England Patriots. And the Patriots are back. So, all you NFL fans that fear the Chiefs, that fear that the reign has returned, come on over. Your only hope resides in Drake Maye. And in the New England Patriots. Allow me to introduce you to Drake Maye stats. Not only the best deep ball passer in the NFL, but the best late down quarterback in the NFL, and the best quarterback against man coverage. 5 straight weeks of over 100 passer rating. I wish this wasn't so laggy. I don't know why it's so laggy on here. I wanted to show you guys these stats, but unfortunately, my computer isn't really letting me. But, like I said, let's go over it. So, the Drake Maye stats. Best late down quarterback in the NFL. Best quarterback against man coverage. Best deep ball passer in the NFL. 5 straight weeks of a 100 passer rating or better. The only quarterback with a 73% completion, 253 yards per game, and a 10-2 touchdown interception ratio. He ranks top 5 in wins, passer rating, total touchdowns, completion percentage, and passing yards. He has the best deep ball through 6 weeks of any quarterback in the next gen era in completion rate, EPA per play, completion percentage above expected, and passer rating. He also is leading a team that is 32nd in rush EPA and rush success rate. It's only going to get better for the Patriots. Baker Mayfield has been my current NFL MVP. But if there's anyone that has an argument, it's Drake Maye. The numbers prove it. He doesn't have a run game. Drake Maye's right there. And guys, I'm telling you, your hope to beat the Chiefs has returned. The New England Patriots. Thank you for watching. It's Mitch. This has been The Bottom Line, and we'll see you in the next video. Gronk spiked the like button. Deuces.